Hello. Okay. It's been a good few days, hasn't it?
Yes.
And we're nearly there. This is the last session. It's my honour to introduce our final speakers. How many there's room down at the front? First of all, well done for making it this far. It's been brilliant, yes. There should be, my colleague Louise said that we sat down, there should be a prize for making it this far. Maybe next time. There is? Well, there's this session. This is your prize for making it this far. And then, no, so it's my pleasure to introduce the final speakers. We've got Louise and Monika, who are British Council experts in teacher education, specifically online communities of practice. So we're very lucky to have them here today, come out of their offices, blinking into the sunlight and interacting with people IRL in real life.
Bedrooms, not even back from offices.
Or from their home offices, yes. So they're both based in Portugal. I've had the pleasure of knowing them for many years. Louise was actually my line manager for a while as well. So I'm really thrilled that they get to do this for you today. And I'm going to keep it very brief because we're nearly there. Enjoy, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming. I think we're surprised that there's so many of you. It's been a wonderful, wonderful conference. But also, as we all know, conferences are really exhausting, especially day 3, especially the afternoon of day 3, especially the late afternoon of day 3. So on a scale of 1 to 5, can you just shout out how tired you are right now? Please. Wow! Okay, it's a nice mix. It's better than I expected, but I think we're on the same page. So we're trying to keep it hopefully quite engaging, but also as brief as we can, because we know that you have places to go. No, don't worry, we'll do a few sessions. But again, yeah, we acknowledge that we're all really, really tired, and I'm really, really, really grateful that you came to see us doing our little show. Over to you.
Thank you for coming today. We're here to talk about communities, because obviously that is the theme of APPI. I hope, like us, you've really enjoyed the last few days and being a part of the community. It's like we've been introduced, we work online. This is particularly novel and lovely to come and actually see people and be here in real life. But we know and understand how important it is to kind of continue this after the conference, which is how we want to end and focus on today. We've heard from Anna when she opened up, like what community means, and we're not going to tread on her toes there. We have nothing. We just completely agree with what she said about it, particularly like around care and connection and agency. These are all things you're going to see today in our own presentation. But what we'd like to focus on is a bit of a call to action to all of us. We're here for 3 days and it's wonderful, but once we leave here and this connection, we want to continue it. Potentially, we've met lots of people we want to do projects with, we've met some new contacts. We want to show you ways that you might actually do that and how you can set up communities, and to share with you what we found to be like, I say the key to success. I think that's a bit of an exaggeration, but the core things, the core elements that you need to get right for a community to survive and to be dynamic and to do well. So, first of all, quickly say hi to whoever you're next to. Hopefully you know them. Quick hello. Hello. And your first question is, we think there are 4 elements to, I think, designing, but the things that you think about when you're creating a community. There are 4 things that we think are really cool. Can you try and guess what those 4 things might be? So if I just give a minute to you, what do you think we might talk about? Okay, well it's not a test, and the 4 things that we think are really important may not be the 4 things that you think are important, but these are the 4 things that we think are key. Did you get any of these? Anything similar? Yeah, similar. Alright, so during today we're going to take a look at listening, what we think that is, connection, what that looks like, safety and why it's important, and ownership. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Monika. No, I'm not quite actually, I forgot about that. What I want to tell you is, we're going to ground a lot of the talk today in actual examples. We want to share with you why we're saying this. We want to share with you what people have told us so you can understand why is it that we feel that listening is really important. What do people tell us about it? And to do this, I'm going to use 3 communities that we actually run. I'm going to use these 3 because they're public and we can actually share with you the comments and the videos and the things that have been shared. So for teaching English, we've got 3. We've got one on, these are public communities. We've got one on Facebook, one on Instagram, and one on YouTube. What we know is very different people come to each of them. You can see that through the demographics. Very different people. A lot depends on kind of like the technology that they have. Are they watching on their phone? Are they watching on their laptop? Where are they based in the world? Do they prefer, like me, to look at imagery, in which case they're more Instagram and YouTube? Do they prefer to do more chat, in which case they're more likely to be something like Facebook? So people come to us in different ways, and these are just 3. We've actually got a lot more, and we're going to see a few of them in other ways. We've got regional and local communities, and we've got communities in messaging apps like WhatsApp and Telegram as well. So we're going to use examples from these communities throughout the talk.
First thing, we'd like to tell you, talk to you a little bit about what makes a community. And I'm sure you know this, but we felt it was worth emphasising that it's not the space of the people. I work in the EdTech area, so I work with a lot of teachers who come to me and ask for advice on how they can deliver their online teacher training. Can you guess what is the first thing they ask me when they say, we want to set up a community of practice online? What is the first question you think they will ask me? Who do I need to talk to? Well, they're talking to me, so they've come to the right person, at least in our organisation. How can we do it? Perfect. And usually that leads to, what platform shall we do it on? Have you got a website? What can you recommend? This is not the first question you should be asking. The first question when you want to set up your own community of practice is, what do you want to do with it? Who are the people you want to have in your community? What is the outcome that you're expecting to have? The platform, honestly, and this is talking about the EdTech person who's talking to you about this, the platform's the last thing that you actually need to think about and make a decision on. People are the most important thing. People are the key element of every community of practice, every community in general. And this is something that is the most important. I've heard it I don't remember who told this to me, but it sort of resonated with me and stayed with me until now, and this day. You can create a community on Post-it notes if you wanted to. It is doable. You can do that. Another example, I don't know, I'm showing my age now, how many of you remember that song You've Had a Bad Day by David Hunter? It was like in the 20s. Some people do, You've Had a Bad Day, something like this. So I don't know if you remember the video for that song. In that video, there was a girl and a boy, or a man and a girl, a young woman and a young man, that's better, who were waiting for a metro on the same station, but never at the same time, so they never met. And throughout the video, they keep adding little drawings to a poster that they're waiting under for their metro. So on the poster, there's a woman sat on a bench, so the girl starts with drawing a big cloud with the rain because she feels sad on that day. And then the man comes, sees this, and draws an umbrella to shield that woman from the rain. And then it continues, so they keep drawing elements on this poster, never seeing each other, but actually communicating just through that. And the last exchange, at least in the video, is that he draws a question mark. He draws a question mark, and she makes it into a heart. So something's been achieved, right? It's a two-person community. Some people say you need 3 people for a community. Debatable. But however you look at it, it just illustrates how easy it is to actually create some kind of dialogue and understanding, and actually create some kind of outputs without having a fancy platform that you have to use. The simpler, the better. We'll be talking more about this in a moment as well. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. This is Tatiana. Tatiana works with communities of practice that are based in forums on a learning management platform, on a course platform. She works in what the British Council calls the wider Europe region, which is countries like Azerbaijan, Armenia, Kazakhstan, etc. Those communities are amazing. They're doing amazing work. And Tatiana is just going to tell you why communities of practice are so important.
Teachers crave community. We all need our tribe. We all need people who speak the same language. Whether we are lonely in the classroom and we struggle on a daily basis, you need to come to your community, to a safe place, and meet people who can understand you or who can tell you, don't worry, I know the way through this. I've been in the same place 5, 6, 10 years ago. So this is probably the most vital part. So we know that as the British Council, we provide many different platforms and many different ways for teachers to join a community or to build their own. This is probably number one when it comes to motivating and inspiring teachers, because there is so much knowledge there is so much support, there is so much exchange, and sometimes you don't need to read hundreds of pages, you don't need to attend I don't know how many courses, you just need to join your Facebook community or to meet your peers in a face-to-face event, and you will have 5 minutes sharing, and that will be enough.
We obviously focusing on online communities of practice in this talk, but basically anything and everything that we're talking about applies to face-to-face communities of practice as well. So what Tatiana has been saying, I hope it resonated with at least some of the people in the room. We actually were talking to some of our colleagues from the British Council yesterday, and one of the teachers said, I felt so insecure when I started working as a teacher for the first time. And it took me several years to find my footing and understand, and also to develop my own tools and techniques. And if I had a community, I could have just asked. And I maybe would need to spend those many years trying to do everything on my own, because other people have already found good ways of introducing present perfect, for example, or found good ways of dealing with bad behavior in the classroom. That's one of the many, many benefits of a community. And again, just important, one of the most, we're going back to people, where communities are people, not platforms. Connections are the most important thing. So the connections you make with other people, with your peers, where knowledge sharing is happening, where learning is happening, and when you can discover new things just because other people in the same room, whether it's physical like here or online, already have that knowledge and can share it with you. And another very, very important thing, and we'll keep coming back to the point throughout the talk today as well, is that the very, very important thing, I think for all of us, it's not just the communities of practice, is to feel heard and to feel understood and to feel appreciated in whatever we do. And that's one of the things that communities of practice also can do and do. This is what we actually can see in our daily work.
Okay, so we've listened a little bit there about what we feel a community is, and we hope that you agree and it resonates with you. But we talked a bit about what we think are the key ingredients, the essentials in order to have that community, to create it. And the starting point we feel is listening, which sounds quite simple, something we all do, we hope, every day. But I mean, I'm going to ask a very personal question now. Do you feel that you are good listeners? Is it something that came easy to you? It's not. I mean, I'll tell you from my no. For me, no. I think it's something I've really had to learn how to do, to understand how to listen. I think we're all taught it's quite a passive thing. It's something that happens to us, which is not true at all. It's actually very active and very, very tiring if we're doing it well. So we feel that the starting point is listening, and we just want to kind of clarify what listening is. So our first question to you, just to chat to the next person for a minute, is what is the difference? Can you define the difference between hearing and listening? So have a go, just for a minute. Alright, I'm not going to test you. Let's take a listen here to another colleague. This is our friend Louise. She's based in Egypt, and like me, she also works with online communities. And this is how she would define the difference between hearing and listening.
See this presentation and see the thumbnail for this. Apologies.
Let's look at what the difference is between listening and hearing. Hearing is one of the traditional five senses, and it simply involves the ability to hear sounds through the ear. It doesn't matter whether we understand the sounds or not. But listening, on the other hand, is all about making sense of what we've heard. And our brains carry out a whole range of activities in order to do this.
Basically, I mean, listening is incredibly active, and if we move over to the next slide, it's about trying to, okay, sorry, you're right. It's very mutual action. It's something that we do in order to belong. It's something that we do in order to feel heard. I would argue it's actually not an easy thing, and it's something I feel I still work on every day, is my ability to listen and hear others and ensure I hear them well. And I hope I continue to learn, and I just wish we were born with a bit more ability to do this. But what does it look like in a community? Okay, so if we have a look, we've got some what we feel it can look like. Listening is when you're not listening to reply, you're not listening to go, be transactional. I mean, sometimes we do, obviously, in a shop. How much is it? It's €5, etc. But it's when you're really talking to someone and you want to know what they're going to say, and you're interested and you want to understand what they're saying and why they're saying it. So listening is about really trying to understand someone, and particularly, I'm going to stress this, particularly when there is a difference in opinion or a difference in view, you want to explore that. And I think sometimes, sadly, not here. I've had a wonderful weekend and heard people like exchanging and amicably disagreeing, but I think sometimes when we look around at the world around us, it can feel a little bit like we've lost the ability a bit to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and we've lost the ability a little bit to just accept that it's okay to be different. And the point of talking to someone is not to convince them. So I'm in the classroom with my students. My job there as a teacher is not for them to go away parroting or saying the same things that I say. That's really not the aim. It's for them to think about and look at a text or look at a piece of information like I do and decide what they think and why they think that. And it's absolutely fine if we both go away with very different interpretations, such as being human. So I think listening is about being free to explore, and that requires a lot of questions. It requires a lot of compromise. It's being okay to hear something that actually you think, no, I don't I do not agree, and I don't like that, but that's okay, you know. The purpose here isn't that we agree, which can lead at times to problem solving when, if, for example, you're working as a team, then you've actually got to come up with a solution to something. It's the acceptance that, yeah, I've got this great idea and I want to do it like A, B, C, and we're going to do like that, but that's not, it's not really ideal, it's not involving compromise, and we've got to together work together to problem solve this and to come up with a solution. And as Monika's already said, and what's really important as humans, it's not just feeling that you replied to somebody, it's actually feeling that you were genuinely heard, and that they take away a little bit of you and an understanding of you from that. So we're going to have a look at an example. Like I said, we're going to litter this with examples of, I know this is written, but
Can you read it at the back, please?
Okay, perfect. I know this is written text, but I actually feel this is listening. It's about listening to others. I'm going to give you 1 minute just to read it. Take your time, have a look. This is a true, authentic example, a real example of something that comes up quite daily for us, where we see someone saying something, they have an opinion, and they have the right to share it, and it's definitely an opinion, and we know that others maybe do not agree with that, and that is actually fine in itself. We have to make sure people express their opinions respectfully, of course, but we've got someone, and it's not uncommon for people, and we'll hear this a lot. And I know that you spoke a lot, Cloudy, about yesterday, about people making stereotypes and saying sweeping statements about people, and probably with no ill intent. They're online, they just want to quickly share their opinion, and they throw something out there, and probably don't always understand how it lands, to be fair. But in this example, what you see here is someone thinking, okay, no, I don't agree with this, and thinking, okay, how can I suggest that this is actually not what I think? How can I do this in a way that's not attacking? How can I do this in a way that shows I respect the other person? How can I, ask questions of them, not because I want them necessarily to agree with me, but I would quite like to question and push a little bit on that opinion that they have. So you've got a few examples over there of like people actually listening and trying to understand someone else, trying to kind of ask questions, offer other opinions, but not to be too forceful with it. But in here and in this exchange as well, if you look in the middle, I see you've got us, this is us, little balls are us. You've got us and you've got our job with the role of listening. And what I'd like you to do with the person next to you is what do you think the role of listening means for those of us who leave here? We run communities or we want to set up communities. What's our job in this? What's our job in this listening and exchange? What is it that we do? What's our role? So have a think about what listening means, not to the person saying it, but to the person mediating it. Just take a moment. I'm not going to put you on the spot and make you tell me what you think. It's quite a difficult exchange to enter into the middle of. What I'll do instead is show you what I think, or what we feel is important with this and how we show listening. Now this is where Claudia may disagree with me about mediation, but we talk about communication, and we feel like the first job we have is we accept it's a global community, and we've got very different people coming from very different experiences and backgrounds, and our job is not to, it's just to understand that and to realise disagreement is going to happen. So how do we handle this and make sure that someone throwing out something that could be, some people could take offence at, potentially, how do we handle the situation in a way that still encourages people to contribute and it doesn't shut down the conversation? Because that can often happen. People can walk away from conflict. So our job is to mediate it, and we try to step in and we try to calmly find a way to say, actually, we kind of know where you're coming from, but we think it's a bit simple. Potentially, maybe want to consider that it's not the only way of viewing this. And we do always remind people, of course, and just more to point the point out, and we'll talk about this in a minute, about safety, that we are there and that people are protected. And what we tend to see is that we get a lot of reactions, which tells us that lots of people are reading the bits when we do come in. And lots of people, while we try most of the time to be in the background, to let everybody else share their opinions, we're always there and actually listening and choosing the moments where we step in. Outside of this example, where I think it's more about mediation, obviously we're also keeping it relevant, keeping it on the topic. Yes, we would all love to discuss other things sometimes, like the recipe from last night that we really enjoyed and things, but in an online community or any community, sometimes you've got to keep to the agenda, keeping it relevant. And for us, face-to-face would look different, but it's considering where people are based, how can they add their opinions at different times. Everyone has a different bandwidth, and I do mean literal and figurative. I mean, in terms of data, some people are on their phones with very limited data, and I mean other people have access to as many gigs, megabytes, or whatever data as they like. But also literal, and I say this from my personal experience, now I've got two very young girls. I used to spend hours really enjoying reading loads of books and articles, and the thing is, now I don't have time for that at the minute because life, and that's fine. And I'm okay with that, but I need a community that also is all right with that, and it's not going to expect, 12 hours of work out of me, and 5 minutes is okay as well. So listening is that, and looking for opportunities to make sure that we can stick to that.
This will be a lighter bit of our connection, other than perhaps quite heavy example that we've just shown you, but this is a real example of the kind of exchange that happens in a community. And I'm sure you've had these discussions even in family circles sometimes, when you disagree with your family members. I certainly do. Again, it's just another example of how the online exchange and the online community really mirrors face-to-face one. Because the same people saying the same things, sometimes more emboldened, like you said, to say things because they feel like they can, because they're online. But they're still the same people. In terms of the connection, we mentioned it already before, that one of the biggest building blocks of the community is the connection. And this is the thing that community members, teachers, seek out the most. I've got two just very short examples for you. One is a post, again, from one of our communities. I think you can read it. For me, the lovely bit is the one between the little emojis, relax and more understanding. Just a simple act of just ticking a like, or giving a thumbs up, or giving a heart, can mean so much to someone who's on their own and sharing something and needing support and needing a community around them. That's the validation, that's the support, that's the encouragement, that's the acknowledgement. That's all it takes. It's really, really small gestures that can make a huge difference. This is Gonzalo. Gonzalo is a teacher educator in Argentina. He actually manages his own community of practice on WhatsApp. And he works a lot with our materials, and also works with us, hence he's in the video here. It's a very short one.
Beyond the materials, I'm consistently amazed by the diversity of voices I hear in every webinar. Using the CPD framework has also been incredibly useful for our professional growth. We look forward to continuing our work with this material in the near future. Let's keep sharing and inspiring each other.
that was very positive, as you can see. But I think for me, that bit at the end, it says that let's keep sharing and inspiring each other. That's the whole thing about the community. That's what the community is for, is to share and inspire. Share, anything shared, if it's a negative thing, when you share it, it's sometimes gets smaller, and if it's positive, it gets amplified. So that's another beautiful thing about community. Just a few things. This quote that we had from one of the, I don't remember exactly where it came from, one of the many communities that we run. Someone said that being in the community just helped me not feel so alone as I sometimes feel in my school. This was the trigger for us to do this session, this quote, because we felt it was so personal and also so heartfelt, and it just felt so real and relatable to us. Also because, as Matt mentioned at the beginning, Lou and I work from home. We work online full-time. We've been working together for 3 years. We met in person this Friday. We both live in Portugal. So it's still possible to create a working relationship, as you can see. But still, being here, thank you, APPI. This is one of the many benefits of this conference. I got to meet Lou in person, and many other of my colleagues. And it really, again, goes to show how important it is to be together in one space. Whatever the space is, whatever it is, it's wonderful to be here with all of you. It's amazing. It just, again, reminded me how amazing the ELT community is, especially last night, for those of us who were at the dinner and all the presentations of the pieces of quilt. I was just looking at everyone doing it and thinking, there's just the ELT people, there are no people like ELT people, honestly. The amount of creativity, you make it worthwhile. So back to the connection, which is again what we're having actually here in person right now. How do we only have APPI once a year, so how can we recreate it throughout the year? That's the challenge. Sorry. One of the things, connection is important because it makes you feel like you're part of a wider community. It can be a professional community, it can be a personal group of people that you share with as well. And it's all about networking, peer exchange, and shared practice within that community. And also, that's another thing. What we find in our research and research from many other, done by many other organizations, is that teachers across the globe, they suffer from low confidence, they suffer from issues related to well-being because of the professional burnout, because of the amount of work that they're expected to do. I'm sure that's very relatable to everyone in this room. And also, we all have our private lives after work, so that adds up to the burnout as well. And a lot of teachers feel like they don't have a voice because they don't have anywhere that shout into the void. I think that's also related to quite a lot of us. You have no one to say these things to, especially if you work, for example, in a small school where there's 1 or 2 teachers of English only. So who do you exchange your feelings about your profession, or who do you ask for support from? So again, that thing about the community helped me not feel so alone as I felt on my own in my school, again, resonated with us a lot. And the whole idea about the community helping to get you out of your isolation is extremely important.
I feel we came across a bit rubbish that we've never tried to meet in 3 years, but I just want to clarify that we actually have, and every time we've been thwarted, especially in the winter by the weather. So we have tried to meet before here, but every time we had to cancel those plans. The third feature that we want to focus on, and this is another one that's quite heavy, but I feel is very important, is about safety. Being able to feel free, you can share your opinion and feeling that your opinion will not only be heard, but you know that you'll be protected and that you'll be looked after in sharing it. It's psychological and it's pedagogical. If we just take a look at the next slide, I've got another little task, just a quick chat with the person next to you for you that might seem obvious, but why can it be really scary for teachers to ask for help? So, please have a chat with the person next to you. right, this time it's hopefully an easy one to answer, so I'm going to ask some people to throw out here some ideas. But like, why can it be scary? Anyone to throw something out? Sorry? Being judging, exactly, judging you and judging, yeah, exactly. I don't know how many of us here are like newer, maybe pre-service or early in teaching, but I can very, very clearly remember myself being like a new teacher. I have come from a primary preschool background, and you know, at the age of 20, 21, I was really studious and I learned how to do those lesson plans very well, but what I found really hard, which is not surprising in classroom, was the classroom management, and how do you make a group of 5-year-olds listen to you. I wish at the time I had a community to ask, but I didn't, and I felt very scared to. I know that Anna talked a little bit, she quoted Brené Brown, and I'll refer to her in another way. In Anna's it was to talk about to be yourself, but Brené Brown also talks a lot about vulnerability, and it's very, very hard to be vulnerable in front of other people. And it's very, very hard to tell people what you are not good at. And it's great to share what you do know, but it's very hard to tell them what you're not so good at. And it can be really daunting to tell them and admit that something you're struggling with, and you don't want to be judged. We know now, for those of us who've been teaching a while, there is absolutely no shame in saying it's hard in the beginning to manage a group of learners. Of course it is. You've got to learn a lot about humans and human behaviour and psychology. There is so much learning there. But it's okay to be able to say this now, 25 years on, but at the time, this was incredibly hard. And so we're going to listen now to two of our moderators, actually, who are going to explain to us not just why it can be scary, but like what a safe space can look like.
The community moderator, I would say that yes, teachers sometimes feel scared to share their opinion on the community or practice groups. And this is because some of them are scared and some of them feel that colleagues will see their weaknesses, so they will think that they're incompetent. However, it is very important for us to create a safe space. And by saying a safe space, I mean that a place where members are all free to interact, ask questions, share their ideas and their experiences from their classroom. And this is what we have seen in English Connect, Telegram COE in Sub-Saharan Africa, where members can ask questions like, oh, I have a large class, I'm motivating my learners. It's sometimes very difficult, what can I do? And I see members responding respectfully and thoughtfully based on our community guidelines. And as a moderator, I always also support them and encourage them to make them realize that these are common realities, not peculiar to them alone, and I feel supported and happy to share.